Welcome back to the deep dive. We're jumping straight in today with quite a striking image, really. This idea that we are fundamentally anchored by our past.
Yeah, it grabs you immediately, doesn't it? Grounding, but also maybe restrictive.
Exactly. And that comes from the source material we're exploring today, the, well, surprisingly philosophical lyrics from Alison McLean's track, Reality. It's not just music. It reads like a really tight argument. So our mission for you listening is to sort of dissect what this text is really claiming about how the world you experience is actually structured.
Yeah, how it's put together.
Because the moment you read it, there's this tension, right? Is reality just out there? Something solid we observe?
Like watching a film.
Or is it something more personal? Something we're actively, maybe without even realizing it, building
Yeah.
and constantly fighting to keep standing?
And what's interesting, especially if you're trying to process information quickly, is how the text cuts through a lot of philosophical waffle, you know? It points directly to this idea of self-filtered knowledge. It basically says, look, the main engine here is us. We color the world in the way we choose to see. That's the starting point.
So no ambiguity there. It's a direct claim.
Very direct. It suggests that, well, any information you take in, it's already tinted, filtered through your lens. And it's not just saying, oh, we have biases. It's saying this coloring is the mechanism, the way reality gets made.
Okay, let's dig into that historical anchor idea first then.
Yeah.
The opening lines, we are anchored by our past, and it can only last as we are attached to history. That word anchored, it pulls in two directions, doesn't it? An anchor means stability, stops you drifting. So maybe the past is, a foundation, keeps things coherent.
Keeps the ship steady.
But an anchor is also, well, it's heavy, dead weight. Could history be a chain here, holding us back?
Yeah.
Especially given where the text goes later, talking about illusion. Which way does it seem to lean for you?
I think the text leans more towards the limitation side, the chain, maybe, because it links the anchor directly to duration. It's not just saying we have a past. It says our reality can only last if we maintain this attachment to history.
So it's conditional.
It's completely conditional. That's a huge statement. It means the world you perceive right now isn't timeless. It's not permanent. It only exists for as long as you sort of keep that historical context active, keep the attachment going.
So attachment to history isn't just about, like, remembering dates or events.
Probably not just that, no.
It's more about sticking to the old scripts. Inherited beliefs, maybe?
Right.
Even just our own stories about ourselves based on what happened before.
Exactly. Think of history like the operating system you got handed down.
Okay, yeah.
Every program you run, every choice you make, it has to work within that OS, right?
Right.
If you stop believing in the basic rules of that past OS, if you cut that attachment...
Then the current reality, the duration, it just stops working.
Logically, yeah. That seems to be the implication. The system crashes.
That makes a strange kind of sense.
Yeah.
But if we're so tied to this history, does the text say anything about the effort involved, the cost of keeping that attachment? Because running an outdated OS sounds tiring.
It does sound tiring. The cost is sort of implied, I think, in the sheer effort needed to keep it all going. We'll see that more with the burning illusion bit later.
Right.
But just focusing on the anchor for now, it means every new thing you encounter, every new piece of data, you have to somehow wrestle it to make it fit the story you've already bought into.
That sounds like constant work.
It is. It's the daily grind of attachment, maybe. It keeps your reality's color palette, consistent, even if those colors are really limiting what you can see or do.
Okay, so that leads us nicely into the engine room then, the mechanism. The text repeats this bit, which always signals importance. We color the world in the way we choose to see, radiating a formula that impacts reality.
Yeah, the repetition really hammers it home. This is the core process.
And it has two parts, right? The internal choice, choosing to see, the filter, and then this massive external result. It impacts reality. It's not just in your head. It has force.
And that word formula, that's the key, I think. It tells you this isn't random. It's not just wishful thinking.
Right, like math.
Exactly. A formula suggests a reliable process, repeatable, systematic. Your subjective choice, the color, gets translated outwards according to some definite rules.
Can you give an example how that might work for, for someone listening?
Sure. Okay, imagine your inner state, your perspective is like a list of ingredients. If you constantly feed in ingredients like, say, cynicism, fear, scarcity, Those are your chosen colors. The formula is like the reliable chemical reaction that always turns those inputs into an external reality that feels full of obstacles, threats, and lack.
Wow.
The formula just runs. It delivers the result based on the input every single time. Doesn't matter if the ingredients were helpful or harmful.
That takes it beyond just psychology, doesn't it? It sounds almost like physics. You're not just feeling cynical. Choosing that perspective activates a system, a law, that shapes the actual reality you bump into.
That seems to be the claim, yeah. And the way it translates is radiating.
Radiating. Like a broadcast.
Precisely, like a radio tower sending out a signal. It implies we're actively projecting something out. We're not just passively waiting for reality to arrive. We're sending out this specific, coded signal that reality then organizes itself around.
So we're not mirrors reflecting the world.
Not according to this, no. We're projectors. We send out an output, and that output actually changes the input we get back later.
So the reliability of the formula means, if you want to understand why your world looks the way it does.
You don't look outside. You look inside at the original input, the color you chose to apply first.
Right. Reality becomes the direct printout of your internal perspective, processed by this formula.
Systemized and applied, yeah.
The takeaway for you listening is pretty huge then. If you're feeling overwhelmed by chaos or conflicting information, this text suggests even that chaos might be systematic. A direct result of feeding a chaotic internal color into the formula.
It's a radical reframing of cause and effect.
Definitely. Okay, so if the formula is projecting outwards, what about the source of that projection, the internal world? That brings us to adventures in our thoughts are companions in our journey. I like how it treats thoughts. They're not just background chatter. They're active partners, companions. They actually guide the experience, the journey.
Yeah.
They seem to be the raw stuff that gets fed into that formula we just talked about.
That's exactly right. It connects the internal and external seamlessly. Your inner world isn't separate. It's like the control room for the radiating formula.
The HQ.
The HQ, yeah. Your thoughts aren't just reflections. They're active agents steering the ship. If your thoughts are exploring possibility, they guide you towards seeing possibilities. If they're stuck on fear,
they guide you towards seeing threats. Makes sense.
But then we hit the most puzzling bit. The phrase that seems to challenge everything we just said about creating reality. A significance is yearning to keep the illusion burning.
Okay, wait, hold on. If the formula impacts reality, like if my cynical choice genuinely makes obstacles appear, why call the result an illusion?
Good question.
Doesn't that undercut the whole idea? Why build a reality just to label it fake? How does that work?
That is the core paradox here, isn't it? We've just established this powerful mechanism. We radiate the formula. It impacts reality. It creates a stable world.
Right.
The reason it might be called an illusion, I think, is because it's a structure built entirely on conditional factors, on attachment, on chosen filters. It's real in its effects, but it's not absolute. It's conditional, maybe ultimately impermanent. The illusion isn't that the obstacles aren't there. The illusion is believing that this particular setup, this reality built on your specific historical anchor and color choices, is the only possible reality, that it's objectively fixed and permanent.
I see. So the significance is yearning. That's the part of us that desperately needs to believe our current construct is the real deal, the ultimate truth.
Could be. Maybe it's the ego or, like you said, just a deep psychological need for certainty. It yearns, it strives to make this subjective framework feel solid, objective, reliable.
So the burning is the effort, the constant work needed to maintain that belief.
Exactly. That constant effort is what keeps the illusion burning. It's intense work. And you see that effort reflected elsewhere in the lyrics, right? That repetition.
The attachment to reality bit. Repeated 3 times.
Yeah, almost like a mantra. Or like someone reminding themselves, reinforcing the commitment.
So the human journey, as described here, is this constant, maybe exhausting effort to uphold a reality that deep down we sense is conditional, dependent on us keeping the faith, basically.
That seems to be it. We're fighting daily to keep the anchor in place, keep the formula radiating the right signal, and convince ourselves the world it creates is absolutely real.
Wow. Okay. This deep dive is actually clarified a lot from just a few lines. Let's try and wrap up the main points for you listening.
Good idea.
We started with this idea of being anchored by history. Then we found that our own personal choices, our colors, feed into a systematic formula that genuinely impacts reality.
Creates the structure.
But then there's this internal significance, this deep need working constantly to maintain that chosen reality, even though the text itself calls the end result an illusion.
Yeah, that's the flow.
Yeah.
And it leaves us, I think, with a really profound final question pulled straight from the text.
Okay.
If our journey involves these adventures in our thoughts as active guides, and if maintaining our current world demands this intense, repeated attachment to reality,
Right.
what would actually happen if you deliberately let go of that attachment?
Sort of dropped it.
Intentionally released it. If you chose to, say, break the chain to the historical anchor, would the duration of your current reality really stop, like the text implies?
And if it did,
No.
what then?
Exactly. What new color would you then choose to see? And what completely different formula, what new reality would you immediately start radiating out into the world? That choice, that potential shift, that seems to be the ultimate challenge these lyrics leave you with.